Looks like we're on. 4, 3, 2. Okay, we're on. Hi.
We're live.
Live? Yeah, we're live.
We're live. All right. Prepare yourself for some super important shit. We're going to tell you everything you never knew you needed to know.
Jesus.
For a small fee. No, sorry. I was like preparing for something. I have like so many stupid things I want to talk about. And then I write them down and then I look at them and I'm like, this is depressing. There's a lot of depressing shit out there that isn't that fun to talk about. You know, so I'll just start with one crazy depressing topic. Guns, gun control.
Mm-hmm.
How say you?
Gun control. You know, it's like there could, you know, if you say things like that, you're kind of looking to have some failure in it.
Oh, you mean like on our stream or just
no,
like
no. I just
society?
the words gun control.
I just meant
seems
like
a trap. No, I don't think. You
I mean
made
like
them
it's in the
up. I don't think
headlines.
you made them up.
It's in the headlines.
I think that's how some people attack the subject matter, and I don't find it to be a winning strategy, you know? And that by no means is what you said. Just by the general term, though, you know, it triggers in me the idea that when people hear that as the way to word it, I think of there being like pretty reasonable, a pretty reasonable conversation around the idea that there's a lot of things that are a lot less or a lot more harmless than a gun that have a lot more restrictions and regulations around them. And now those aren't necessarily always reasonable, but I think guns probably fall somewhere in the category of a reasonable thing in society to have pretty strict regulations on. Now, we just didn't start there in our country, but that's where we are now. And like, you know, whenever they cross that line, it's just a tough thing for a lot of people to deal with, you know. But it's pretty obvious that we've already made a lot of other things that are pretty harmless.
There's a really interesting take, dude, and you said some shit I hadn't really thought about or considered. But I see this differently. I see it completely differently. I see it like this. 99.9% of this guns owned by civilians in this country will never be used for self-defense. The reason that's important to mention, I think, is because I think we need to have a conversation where we all acknowledge and accept that these are toys. That's what I want. That's my argument to somebody who argues to me, I want a gun for self-defense.
Sure.
Because you'll never use it for self-defense. You're going to go to the range and shoot targets. Right. It's a toy, and we all have to start talking like that. Now, the other thing about toys is there's nothing wrong with toys. I like guns. I own a gun, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But there is something kind of weird about it in the sense that there's over 400 million guns in America. And my point is, there's something being marketed and sold to you that you don't need. And that's what I mean. Like people who are obsessed with guns and have tons of guns, it's not because they're obsessed with self-defense.
No.
They're obsessed with a toy that's been marketed to them. And I have toys in my life too. I'm not judging gun owners who are fanatically hoarding guns or whatever. Do whatever you want in life. But my point is the problem, I think, in America with guns and gun violence is from that. That's the source, is the promotion, the NRA, promoting selling guns you don't need. And having so many of them, like remember in Bowling for Columbine, like you open a checking account and they give you a free gun. I mean, come on. Right. They're like, remember that I told you that story about the car on I-5 that had a fucking 9mm lodged in the front end of his car when he got home? Sure. Like he heard something hit his car. Like there's so many guns in America. They're bouncing down the freeway and sticking in the bumpers of cars. I just think people don't need guns as much as they think they need guns.
No.
And I think their fervor and, you know, just their commitment to, you know, the Second Amendment and guns, it's not really about rights. It's not about self-defense. It's just about some weird obsession with a toy that's just been marketed to you.
And I think
really strong obsession.
And I think too, like not a lot of like statistics work for some things, right? But for some people, statistics don't work, even no matter how strong they are. They don't work because they end up being related to somebody dying. Like, it's like, even though it's 1 in a million or whatever the fuck, that somebody's going to break into your house and try to kill you. I don't know what the odds
and
are.
then the odds of you actually having the...
Right, any of it.
You know what I mean? The balls, I guess, or whatever you want to call it.
Just all of it combining together,
like,
as if you're saving your own.
To get your gun and use it in that moment, too. Like, if you,
Right. And so you add up all those things, and you statistically add, you put something on it, and you say this is what it statistically equals, and then you start to like, you see, that argument doesn't hold up, or I haven't seen it hold up very well with people because they just fall back on that, like, but what if I'm that one, and to them a lot of times that argument's really strong, even though.
But where does it come from? Who told them to be that concerned about it? Like, no, check it out though, really quick. I want to listen to what you're saying, but just really quick. Was it a personal experience for them?
No.
Like maybe it is. Like sometimes, maybe it's like, whoa, my neighbor was broken into it some time ago, and I'm
statistically no.
Right. That's what I mean. Like ordinarily, they've probably developed the narrative from media,
but I also
think, or from watching the news. Like, whoa, look what happened to that neighborhood. I'm gonna protect myself.
And I think there's a psychology to how you're gonna die, being that like for some reason that seems like not an okay way to die, as opposed to say recreational drugs on a weekend or over drinking or any of the things that like might actually kill the same person that thinks that way.
That thinks I need to protect from that 1 in a million. I got you. Yeah, I got to protect myself from that 1 in a million fucking home break-in, but I'm eating Big Macs and fucking doing blow.
Well, that one, that's the eventuality death.
Well, hey,
but I mean, like, even like just ODing on vodka and like that day's Vicodin that dude eats because he wants to, or whatever the fuck, right? Right. That's real, and that people die, and like that's how that happens sometimes.
So,
and
I want to say this is something kind of interesting here. Is my mom? I've told you many times. My mom was a cop.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was in Nam. We had a lot of guns in the house. A lot of guns. I knew where all of them were and how to use all of them. And my mom, every time we moved, my mom would always show us where her fucking nickel-plated Smith & Wesson was, because her police-issued revolver for break-ins or for self-defense. But she always said this every time she would show me where her gun was. She'd be like, "But Nick, if someone breaks into the house, just get the hell out of the house."
Right.
She's like, "You don't want to have to live knowing you blew away some just desperate dude who wanted a TV, and you don't want to get blown away by some desperate guy who just wants a fucking TV."
Right.
There's no one breaking in your house to kill you unless they fucking know you.
Right.
So she always said that. She's like, just get the fuck out of the house and keep yourself safe and go call the cops.
Sure.
And she's a damn cop. So yeah, I mean that's the thing. The guy's like, I'm gonna defend my Vizio 67-inch.
Well, the truth is,
or whatever people have now.
Well, the truth about public people that work in the public, like police or anyone really, that does social work, or they're taught safety first is pretty much always the motto for any type of thing like that, and so like
de-escalate.
Yeah, de-escalate. Yeah. That's really the
you pull out a gun, you're escalating. Even if there's a problem that is justifiably worth confrontation,
you're still better off.
You're still better off. Right. Yeah, the fucking outcome just gets worse the more you get involved and the more you invest in it.
Getting in shape and actually just hauling ass down the road is actually a better defense mechanism than a pistol. Just eating healthy and being able to haul ass.
So, I do have a revolver right next to my bed. And I'm serious. And I do also have a putter, like a Phil Mickelson style hockey wedge putter, like an old school Sam Snead putter. I am more efficient with a golf club than a gun. And I can shoot guns very well. I'm a really good shot.
Sure.
But I think like if someone was breaking into my house and I felt like I wanted to protect myself, I'd go for that putter. Nobody's going to win against that thing, dude. I think it's cool about golf clubs is they're useless if you don't know how to swing them. And you know that.
Well, you just bend them. They just bend.
There's bend. Yeah. If you don't know how to fucking generate power into the head of the club, they're useless to you. It's like a sword you can't wield.
I use it backwards with the head in my hand.
You could
swing it fast.
It would still just break. Like you can just snap golf clubs like a twig.
You keep using what's left of it every swing.
In a putter too is crucial because it's shorter. You're not going to do any good with a driver.
Probably,
The assailant would have to be like 4 or 5 feet away from you, and you'd have to have like a running start. I'm imagining it in my own house, and I'm like, you'd miss. Like the success rate of hitting that shot.
Yeah, right.
Shit. That's funny. Yeah. That's funny that we just talked about guns in America.
Uh-oh.
You know what? You want to hear my gun solution?
Hang on. It says somebody. Let's see. Caleb says.
Oh shit.
Something's wrong with Nick's audio. Maybe it's down. Is it down too low or something?
Oh god. Is that better?
It looks a little hot on the screen though, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It looks too hot. That's why I thought it was fine where it was.
Maybe the master should go up and then. I like that though, that we have people on there that are telling us.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I will give it a listen. Oh wait, do we not have Wi-Fi in here?
Yeah, no, in here we should be fine because of the machines.
Okay.
See, I put it right there. If you notice it.
Oh fuck yeah.
And plus I don't really know. Maybe. Oh yeah. I wouldn't go too far away though, because it won't pick it up out there. Do 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 do. How's everyone doing today? Well, here, doing our morning Sunday stream. I got this new microphone. It's pretty nice, but I'm having a little bit of problems with just adjusting it and sitting still. Not used to it yet. It's super directional. Gotta. Is it blended all right? How's the mix?
So, if anything, it kind of does sometimes sound like it's cutting out like it did before with our Wi-Fi signal. But why would my mic be on a Wi-Fi signal and not yours?
No, they're not on the Wi-Fi. I can see it right there on the board. But I think maybe it's overloading.
Okay.
Possibly.
Okay. How about that?
That's my guess. Better? It's just overloading. When it hits to a certain point, it's got a gate on it of some kind,
Cool. Oh, see, says keeps cutting in and out. Is it still doing that?
Yeah, maybe you just don't want to go.
One mic do it?
I don't know, but see how mine's popping in the green right there, and if that sounds good, then maybe you just want to make yours just only not quite go into the yellow.
Well, let me try it. Check. All right. No, it's not bad. Check. Like right there.
Just see if
something
that
like
happens,
that.
Because maybe can you hear it cut? See when mine get real pop on.
Why is this so complicated?
It's because it's fun.
It's fucking bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. So anyway, who cares? You're gonna sound like shit. I guess it's just how it is. After we spent 3 months trying to not.
Well, you know what I
like
could.
shit.
You know what I could do is turn on the those mics just on really low, then it would pick up a little bit of the edge.
Well, no, I mean it's still picking it up, and I heard what he said. Like I said, it still sounded like it was cutting in and out like our old streams that we're using a Wi-Fi signal. We're not using Wi-Fi right now.
No. See, down there at the bottom, there one. Then there's the clock thing, and then the next one's the volume. And then that next one's the signal that shows that it's plugged in and not on the Wi-Fi.
Blows. I'll just try to give this a go. Here's my gun control solution. I think states. It's just an idea. States per capita should have limited places where you can go buy guns. Like it's a thing, and not just any gun, like really heavy duty artillery shit. You know what I mean? So per population, you'd have a place where you can go, and I mean the other cool thing about it is you probably have even more selection. It'd be like a gun show year round, right? But it's like a trip. You gotta drive into town. Family goes into town. I'm going to swing by the fucking huge gun place, go buy an AR-15 or whatever the fuck you want. But the point is, they're not just falling out of the sky and bouncing down the freeway and sticking in your bumper. It takes a little bit of effort to get one. That's all. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know what, like I said.
Just a little bit of effort. That's what I'm saying. The marketing aspect just makes it way too fucking easy. You can open a checking account and they give you a gun.
Well, I just think that there's like it's within the transition. It's all about the transition, to me. You know, how do they figure out a way to transition the, however we're gonna do it, to get people on board. And I don't know why there always has to be a rubbing it in your nose phase. I really feel like the obvious way to tell if somebody's trying to actually get a law passed. I think one of the ways to tell if it's like genuine is how much of the bill or how much of the law that they're trying to speak about, how much of it rubs, just in the verbiage, rubs things in people's noses that don't agree with them, as opposed to the opportunity to make really like truthful, manipulative type language that will really help sell the idea to like people on the fringe to actually make the change. There's so much more investment in the argument than there is the change.
Well, they're up against some powerful shit.
I agree.
They're up against people who have money. That's what I've been trying to say. The NRA, it's just a promotion to make money. That's all it is. It's not some fucking conspiracy about some ideology or about the Second Amendment or any of that bullshit. It's literally all about the fucking money. It's always all about the fucking money. It always has been all about the fucking money. And all that means is sell as much product as you can, no matter what your product is. So, I mean, it's just, when you think of it as a product, is sales. We're talking about money. Guns make money. That's all it is.
Right.
So the promotional tactic is fear.
In a lot of ways.
Be afraid of your neighbor.
One of them.
Buy one of these.
The one for a certain genre.
And then just like cars, you're going to need an upgrade next year.
Oh, yeah.
And
but
that's
again,
all. That really is all it is. And that's why I was saying that 99.9% of civilian gun owners will never use their gun in self-defense. But yet, almost everyone has one.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
We've all been convinced that we need a firearm in our house.
Or just want one.
It's just about the money.
Like, or like you say, people might just want them because they just do. Like, they're just enamored by the machinery and they just like them. They want one, so they buy one. And they may not actually be really thinking about. I don't know how many people really conceptualize a home break-in, even if that's what they use as an excuse in a conversation. I'm still not convinced that's really true. I think that it's just that you can buy them. It doesn't take. It's like getting a tattoo. You can just get it. It doesn't really. And so I don't think there should be laws to stop them. I think that there should just be some kind of culpability to the gun itself. Like, I think when you sell a gun to someone, then they now take responsibility for it. It's not a big deal. It's just really about that transition. And I don't think you can ask companies to try to make less money in the system we have. I think when you do that, it always backfires, realistically, that's where I'm at with it. It's just.
I'm gonna see if it's this cable.
Okay.
Because it is cutting in and out. I just listened to it again. I mean, at this point, this is the only thing that'd be different.
And well, maybe that other. Try just this other mic too. Just this one, like the other one of the same one. You never know. Maybe. I don't know why. What happened?
Check.
But so yeah, to me, I mean, I think modernization of everything, and I think there's just nothing wrong with modernization, to some degree.
See if this thing works.
I can see you on there.
What?
I can see you on there now.
Check. Yeah. I doubt it's the mic, dude. I think. Well, I'll just talk for a little while longer and make a useless stream for like, fuck.
Well, just like give it a shot and see if you can and you want to go look at the time on there, and then go scroll to this time.
Okay, there we
frame.
go. Yeah, Caleb's talking about war and weapons manufacturing abroad too. Yeah, it's all tangled. See, and it's true. But the specific part that the public cares about when it comes to gun laws, right? I mean, that's why we're talking really just about the public, like just gun control laws for civilians.
Well, and I think right.
Fucking weapons manufacturing, dude. That's Dick Cheney's the man.
Well, that part of it's like kind of they're somewhat tied together when you go in the fear. If you're talking in the fear department, so to say, the overall world defense against the bad people, in which they're, to be really responsible about it, there's a fucking pile of pretty shitty people in the world. Some people who are just kind of like brought up on murder, like as a casual hobby. And they're going to be tough to wean off of that kind of power result without, kind of forcing them to. Some people have been let to do things for too long, and the habits they have aren't going to be useful to their community, so to say. And so, I mean, there is a root to the reason to take care of situations. I think there is justification for it. But then you back that all the way up to the abuse of that fear and how much of that really exists and how much of that are you really using that money to deal with that and blah, blah, blah. That particular angle doesn't have a good track record, and I don't believe that there's much money spent on deterring true criminals in the world.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. Of course that's not. Shifting gears here, I'm going to tell you a little story about something that happened to me. Talking about laws, self-defense. I left here the other night and I got profiled and tailed by a cop. And you said to me that used to happen to you here?
Say that again?
I got tailed and profiled by a cop.
Oh, well, so we had a show on Friday night, right? Mm-hmm. So on my drive home, I pulled by like Tilly Jane's. I was driving and I got pulled over by a state cop, and he asked me if he said, "Well, your license plate's dirty. Is there a reason why?" And I said, "No, it's just dirty." And he said, "Okay, can I get all your information and everything?" I said, "Sure." Gave it to him. Then he said, "I'm just gonna give you a warning. But you should make sure that I can read your license plate better,
These fucking losers are so hard up for money right now, and they're so pathetically desperate. Dude, they are miserable pieces of shit.
So before I pulled out, he took off, and so before I pulled out, I was getting some tunes on Spotify set up for the rest of my drive home, and I looked down the way on the heights. I looked towards the north, and he'd already had someone else pull over, I already saw blues and reds already again, like he was just sweeping through the fucking night, whatever, it was like 10:20.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I don't drink, I was like, just like thinking about how come I can't have a beer and why I don't want to like get out of a car because some guy's just like totally ridiculous. And like, it's just going to happen,
So here's what happened to me. And this is, I'm really glad you told me your story. I leave and I pull up to whatever that main street is where you turn. Is that Oak?
Yeah.
Oak? What's the next street?
State.
State
Columbia. Cascade.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the one where River City's on. Just the
Cascade.
The road to get fucking to the bridge to go to the freeway. So I pull up and there's a cop going, and he just looks right at me, dude, and flips a Yui. And I'm thinking to myself a couple things. One of them is this: I'm way smarter than any cop anywhere ever. I will play them like a fiddle. I'll make them fucking bark like a dog and hop in one fucking line. And now in my age and where I'm at, like I have family who are lawmakers, dude. Do you know what I mean? I can end these bitches' career if they make a false move. And police departments lose 99.9% of civil suits.
Right.
Because they're so fucking dumb.
Well, what the fuck was that shit?
The point is, the guy flipped it. That's what I'm saying, though, is this guy, they can't prove it. That's the whole point.
No, I mean, how stupid is that? I had a dirty license plate.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm
come
saying.
on.
That's when I saw this cop do that, I'm like, come and get some, bitch. Because I'm better at their game than they are. And this is what I mean by that. This guy profiled me and said, "There's nothing wrong there. I'm gonna make a problem there," because I wasn't violating any traffic.
No.
And in fact, when he ran my plate, he would have seen, and he did eventually, that my record is completely perfect.
Yeah.
Because I'm a goddamn professional, and they're not. And that's why when I saw him flip a Yui, I went to make my left turn, no blinker. I do this to cops all the time.
Because it's not against
Because
the
it's
law.
not against the law. And I'm like, now I'm playing you. You're trying to make a problem where there isn't one, and I'm going to give you every fucking reason I can to pull me over.
Right.
Because I want you to, you miserable piece of shit.
Oh, I got pulled over for not using my blinker.
So when I get onto the
in
freeway,
the correct place.
on the freeway, and there's the road work, he won't get behind me. He falls back because I know he doesn't want to pull me over in road construction. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. This isn't the first time I've done this. So I go down the off ramp to the light to turn left. Again, no blinker. Cop comes zooming up right behind me. I'm just sitting there. Light turns green. I don't go. I wait for a second, and then I go.
Sure.
One flash of the blinker, and then I just go boom and take off. Dude, that cop he got right behind me, right up to the bridge, and then aggressively just dropped away.
Sure.
And the dude in a car next to me who was going through the toll booth yelled at me. He's like, "That was fucking hilarious, dude." But you see my point is like, what a piece of fucking worthless garbage. We pay
constant shit.
We pay that piece of shit to go around and terrorize regular citizens like me driving home after playing a fucking rock concert. Like, you're so pathetic.
And it's
Life
like
sucks
10.
so bad.
It's like 10 p.m.
It's
not
like,
even late.
No, it was 8:30.
Oh, that's right.
It was 8:30.
That was before that.
He looked at my car or something. He's like, "This guy's down on his luck because my car's jacked up." That's how I look at it.
Right.
They're like, "This guy's down on his luck. I'm gonna make his life worse." And I look at it like, "No, I'm doing great, and I can make your life worse."
Yeah.
One fucking wrong move, and I will have a civil suit on your fucking department, and I'll fucking win. And the reason I fucking know is because my fucking aunt was the police chief and communications director of Lake Oswego Police Department for 20 years. My grandpa was a sheriff for 30 fucking years, and my mom was a cop. And I know how many civil suits you win, and it's 0.
Right.
So fuck you. Sorry, I'm done. I was so mad. I was so mad that this cop's like, "Dude, you know what? You're fucking keeping business from this town by treating people like that."
No, I know.
Straight the fuck up, because people are like, "You know what? I don't want to go downtown." Those cops like harassed my friend for no reason. Meanwhile, there's meth heads stealing shit from my neighbor every day, but fuck that. Too much work for these.
Well, and just not,
shit.
and they're not wanting to just like actually be somewhere and wait to be called. They want to just go poking around. And I just don't understand it. When you go poking around, you're always gonna find you're always gonna find criminals that are just like yelling too loud, or you know what I mean? Like, these guys are drinking and they're being too loud. Like, that's what you find just poking around. When you're actually just sitting somewhere and you're waiting for someone to call 911 and you're in a really strategic location in an area that has high crime, then you're really like on the ball to be helpful at a moment when somebody that's a citizen can like inform you like, "Hey, I need help right now." And the idea that you're actually out poking around is not just that you're fucking with the people that you're poking around on. It's that you're taking yourself out of strategic positions throughout the community that you know are more important than like you said, fucking with tourists and following people out of downtown, which in fact where we're doing is playing a show downtown, and what what it looks like we're doing is we're patrons of a bar. And I just think that's fucking bullshit. It's just
also, well, there's also a fucking legal goddamn limit, and that's the other thing. Is like I said, cops try to invent problems where there are no problems. Their reputation, they have worked so hard building this reputation over who knows how many years. Obviously,
right.
I've only been on this earth, as long as I have. But everybody knows cops. Everybody hates cops. If you took a fucking anonymous report and asked every American how they felt, even the people who say, "I love the police," in private would tell you they fucking hate them. And it's not because we don't like to get caught getting in trouble.
No, well, I just don't.
That's what I'm saying. I've been pulled.
Something wrong. Sure.
Exactly. Ownership is totally different. I've been pulled over a dozen times, like I said, in the last 12 years or something.
Right.
I don't have a single ticket.
No.
So what are they pulling me over for?
It's
Nothing.
constant.
They're just fucking harassing me.
Constant.
They're fucking pathetically harassing me, and it's so obvious because they do it to everyone.
They just literally do it to everybody.
So
as far as I can tell.
They build that reputation, and then they act shocked. Oh, why do people hate the police? Like I always imagine a good cop is the guy who says, "Billy, you don't want to be doing that with your life."
Well, right.
You know what I mean?
But
you're
how
gonna,
could they be
you're gonna
wrong?
end up in jail instead of like, you just flicked a cigarette butt on the ground, put your hands behind your back. This
they're
is
just
the biggest moment of my life, and I'm validating my badge because of my needle dick fucking louse.
Or just tell them. If somebody threw a cigarette butt, and if I was a cop and somebody threw a cigarette butt and I caught them, I would write them. I would put a ticket book and I would write them a ticket, and then I would say, okay, I'm going to tear this ticket up when you bring me 1,000 cigarette butts in a bag.
That's awesome.
And I'll tear it up. I'll give you a week. You know, I need 1,000 cigarette butts. Like, I need you to haul ass around the world and find 1,000 cigarette butts. You know, but my point is maybe that's just like some random number, unachievable.
No,
maybe
it's not what you're doing. It's
too
you're
late,
making
whatever.
You're making the community a better place.
It's a measurable, like, acknowledgement.
But you're
It's
also
if you don't.
making your
It
community
is.
a better
Oh
place
yeah.
by teaching someone a lesson
Right.
and doing it in a way that motivates them to want to make themselves a better person.
Right.
Because when you just haul them into jail, now they fucking hate you.
Well, it's
and
just
when they get
right.
out, they're gonna say the same fucking thing they said before they went in, turned up to 11.
Well,
you just pissed them off.
And you didn't
It's
make.
fucking counterproductive.
And you didn't make the thing they're doing relative to what their punishment is. You know, one of the things I always didn't like about DUI, for instance, is that people that weren't driving still couldn't have beers. They weren't supposed to have, like, you know, or they couldn't smoke pot, or, you know, they restricted people in a way that, like, as though they're like teaching them how to be better at their life. And I'm like, man, I mean, like, how are you counseling people?
Now it sounds all echoey and weird.
Like the whole thing?
What the fuck is going on?
It's funny. Let me take myself off of this other one and see what happens. What the hell was that? It sounded like a...
Seriously, I haven't been able to listen to a single one of these because they're always like this.
Maybe try this brown mic even.
I don't think it's
I don't either, but, you know.
because we've done recordings with them already.
So the thing is like, I'm going through both lines, and I'd rather not be going through the audio input through on the master. So maybe if there's a way that there should be a phones. If your earphones are coming out of the phones jack, you should be able to turn that up so you can hear what's going through the board higher, but not actually turn me up, so I don't come through that audio input on the board as much. So my channel goes down, but your volume. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't see a phone.
There's no that.
No.
That's really odd.
Try this cable. And I mean, I know these mics work because we use them and they sound.
Oh no, I know they do too. We did a whole
So something's going down.
mofo and thing.
Fucking nuts.
I just noticed that they cut out before, and, like, you know, back in the day, we cut them out. They cut out a few times, and, like, just when we were listening to it, and again, like you said, I thought it was.
Chickadee check.
I thought it had.
Check. People are viewing me trouble having fucking problems with this bullshit.
Yeah, that's actually it's actually a really popular genre, I believe.
All right, check this mother shit, motherfuck, shit, fuck.
It's the
Checking this shit. This
the
is
shit
mic
we
check. Here, I'll
fucked
check
up.
with the song.
Yeah, do it.
If you're gonna be shitty, I might as well play a song. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But chugging, Robitussin, waffle stomping in public bathrooms, passing out from sniffing glue. I keep swallowing mouthfuls of chew. All right, sound check that shit. And
Okay.
I'll give it a listen.
I mean, you know, what are you gonna do, right? I mean, I'm wondering if we're, you know, like, we just don't have the right balance of all the different volumes and things like that. Maybe, possibly. Like I say, I'm pretty hot on that board up there, and it's kind of makes me a little leery compared to you. So I hope I'm not just like blowing it out and it's affecting your volume. Yeah, I mean, we got some Oregon Ducks basketball tonight. That's going to be pretty fun. Blazers play today. Could look at some headlines.
I think it sounds better. I think it may have been the
Good.
cable.
Hey, man, that's the thing, right?
I don't know.
We know that.
I don't know. We'll fucking find out if it was.
Well,
or
no,
not.
I mean,
There's so
no,
many fucking bad cables around here anyway.
It can be a thing.
How long have we been on? Half hour of just bullshit? God damn it.
Well, that doesn't mean it was going bad all the time.
Oh, right. I just wanted to go off about cops because that just pissed me off. I felt like I had to explain to myself today. I was playing disc golf. I had to say, Nick, calm the fuck down, man. Why does this make you so mad, dude? Seriously. And it's like, I know injustice makes me mad. It makes everybody mad.
Sure, a little bit. At
But
least something.
you said that to me when I basically was quoting you when I said that they, in a sense, paraphrasing and quoting you by saying that they cost this town business.
Mm-hmm.
And that's straight up true. And, like, I don't want drunk drivers on the street, but I don't want cops fucking just arresting every fucking random SOB they pull over just to validate them pulling them over in the first place, just to, like, justify it.
Well, it's just
Do you know what I mean, though? Like,
well, it just doesn't make.
it's like the cop, like, there's no way I'm wrong about this. There's something wrong with this dude.
Why?
And if there's nothing
Right.
there, I'll make something wrong with it. You know what I mean? Like, I'll instigate and escalate and, like, piss this guy off. Like, I'll make something out of nothing.
There's no reason to tell somebody that their license plate's dirty.
That is the most pathetic fucking thing I've ever
In the middle
heard.
of the night, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Remember I told you that
when
cop
it's
that pulled over
winter.
James and me, and he's like, you know why I stopped?" When we asked him, that's right, James, like, why'd you stop us? And he's like, your tags are about to expire.
Right.
A cop, a sheriff, pulled us over on a fucking highway to tell us that we had a chore to do in 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's just weird, man.
Fucking bullshit, waste of fucking time, waste of fucking money.
I just
pathetic
don't-
ass piece of shit.
Well,
dude.
it's just like,
fucking
and then people,
disgrace to the goddamn badge.
when somebody does something stupid like that, the psychological effect is that I'm dealing with like somebody that's that stupid that can like just shoot me.
Right.
And so like, and then people are like, why are you nervous? You're like, well, I mean, you're not doing deductive reasoning correctly. Like I'm like smart enough to understand what dangerous really equates to is ignorance. So when I meet someone who's that pathetic, really, honestly, like it was a child, and at my age right now, like I thought I was sitting in my car, and you know, realistically, let's just be real, I was driving perfect.
Oh yeah, me
Like,
too. Yeah, I've like yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't mean to be weird. I mean like I would say good or well, but the word really is I was driving perfect. That was the word. And so I pulled up to the last stoplight, and I went to the left lane because that's the lane that you don't have to merge over, and there's no traffic in front of me. A lot of times I'll wait to merge, but there was just didn't make sense. And there was a car that was right up on my ass and didn't know it was a cop, so I figured I'd just gonna get out of his way. He must be busy. So when I did that, it was a red light. And instead of the cop pulling up next to me like a regular person, he pulled up to the corner of my car. So like it was a setup, like a criminal setup. And you know, I work as a youth care specialist at a treatment center. You know, and I work with POs and police. and and it's just the idea that there's this kind of pathetic strain of almost like comedic danger or something, and that's just it's hard to swallow,
So when you told me that, I was going to mention this earlier. And by the way, it does sound weird, Roman. I just listened to the stream, and like now you're all echoey, and I'm clear. So it's probably just something that's just there's nothing we can ever do to make a stream.
So here, hold on, let me get this balance again, because I believe it's just these two mics that are imbalanced. So let me try that. How about something like this, maybe?
So there's something that I do, and I started doing this years ago when I started just getting mad at cops. And one time, this was not long ago, man. This is like 7 years ago. I got a cop pulled up behind me with his lights on, and I jumped out and started yelling at him. And he reached for his gun. He's like, man, just relax. I'm like, no, I'm fucking sick of you guys fucking pulling me over for nothing every fucking day. What do you want? And he's like, look, man, your tags are, or he said something like your tags looked like they're expired or they're not or whatever. I'm like, no, I keep hearing that. Go fuck yourself. And he was like, okay, I'm sorry. Just everything's cool. And got in his car.
Well, yeah, I might.
This is something I do, and I started doing a long time ago. When that cop, the story I told you earlier, who profiled me, my first plan was I'm going to pull over right on the fucking bridge.
Right.
I did this in Damascus recently to a sheriff, and it just really pisses off cops because, one, it means you are now in control of the situation. I just pulled over. That means you now have to make a fucking decision. Flip on your lights and pull me over for whatever and own it, or move on your fucking way.
Yeah.
Now you're in an awkward position where I'm already pulled over. So you're going to pull me over and say I can't pull over where I pulled over?
Right.
You see how awkward that is?
They will.
They will, but that's what I'm saying. The last cop who did that to me, he said, he said I swerved. This is the cop in Damascus. He said, I saw you swerve back there. It was 7 o'clock in the morning. I hit a fucking pothole. I looked at him like, are you fucking serious?
Right.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, and he was so uncomfortable because I'm the one who told him where we're gonna pull over. Well, does that fucking make sense now? That's what I mean.
So that because river it became some kind of law, like in some year, I don't remember, that you have to like, it's your attitude that matters, not the law. It's like, no,
it doesn't. No,
it's
the
free
law. Speech, motherfucker. I can treat you however I fucking want, and that's your personal problem if you don't like the way I treat you. Not your professional problem. And that's the funny thing about it, because that's what I say. Like, haul me in. Let's do this dance, because I'm really good at it now. And I will fucking sue your department. And it's so easy to now, because they're so dumb. So that cop is the one who fell back, though. Like I said, he fell back. He didn't, he like I said, wanted me to go through the construction zone. But anyway, that's what I do. When I know a cop's going to pull me over, I pull over. The other thing I do is when they walk up to my window, I talk first. That means I said where we're going to pull over, and I'm controlling the conversation. This means I'm in charge. This means I'm the boss. Does that make fucking sense to you?
Right.
Like, in them, psychologically, that's how they feel. Their feeling of superiority is gone because you are now in charge of the situation.
Yeah.
I love it when they walk up and you're like, hey, officer, what can I do for you? Like, cut them off even when they start to talk.
Yeah, well,
is there something I can do for you? And then when they're like, "Are you trying to get smart with me?" Is there something I can do help you with, officer? Blah blah blah, and then say their name.
Sure.
Like, let them know you're the boss. They're the public servant.
Well,
they should just do their business and stop wasting your fucking time.
I mean, I'm trying to. God, the thing is well, I mean, the thing is, I do want to. Like, I just want to go home, you know? So, like, I have this really driving force at the very moment of it all happening that just makes me not really want to be there, like, at all. And I almost, like, look at the kid that pulls you over and he's just a baby.
Yep,
and it's the culture we live in, and people have accepted just getting pulled over for no reason. And I guess to some degrees, and just, like, I fucking fought for years for things, and, like, I'm trying to like, I guess, leave it on the field in a sense, as a musician, or, you know, even this streamcast or whatever. To me, there's an important part to the whole thing where I just say, hey, I'd rather have a platform to talk about things I care about, put my thoughts out there, and have the conversation about it. And that's a better way to spend my time, maybe more helpful way to spend my time than it is being angry in my own head. And so, like I was telling you the other day about how, like, trying to pick ways to express different things, and one of them being like thinking about what it is that bugs me or what I want to talk about, and think like, does this belong in a song? Does this belong at a work meeting? Does this belong talking to my girlfriend? Does this belong in a podcast?
I think it belongs on a podcast because it's just something that's part of my life.
I agree, and that's what I mean.
It's like fresh on my mind because it just happened
right.
to me. Like, that's my first time leaving here, a little bit later.
Well, and I talk about it a lot.
I'm like 2 blocks away from here. I live 3 miles away from here, and I'm already being stone cold harassed by the police. Like I said, I didn't commit a traffic violation.
Right.
The cop looked at me and said, "That guy," and made a U-turn and tried to create a problem.
Right.
And that's why I'm mad about it. I'm like, God, you slimy, gross, disgusting, sick fucks.
Right.
Like, do you remember the movie Reservoir Dogs?
Oh, yeah.
So I saw that movie at a young age, and it traumatized the shit out of me. And I found it. It was my brother's. I found it in his room, and I watched it. But there's a scene in that movie that's really ice cold, and I never fucking forgot it.
Sure.
It's when Keitel and Buscemi get back to the hideout after things went wrong.
Okay.
I'm 14 years old watching this, and at this age, I'm at this age where, to me, the police are literally the Nazi army.
Okay.
You know what I mean? In my mind, that's how I view police. They're like fucking Nazis because I'm a kid, and only interaction I have with police is negative because that's the only interaction they ever give kids.
Right.
Like me. In that movie, they get back to the clubhouse, their hideaway, and they're panting. They're like, they're trying to get their breath, and they both got guns in their hands.
Sure.
And Buscemi's like, or Keitel, he's like, "Did you kill anybody?" And Buscemi's like, "Just cops." And Keitel says, "Any real people?" And Buscemi says, "No, just cops." Think about that shit for a second. That's Quentin Tarantino. Somebody wrote that in a script.
Right.
That cops are less than human.
Sure.
Who the fuck would say something that harsh? Where would that come from? Is what I mean. People aren't born that way. It's from a reputation of being a piece of shit.
Oh, yeah.
It's
and
from cops
like
being assholes to their communities for so long. Somebody wrote a fucking movie that made millions of dollars of somebody saying, "No, I didn't kill any real people. Just cops."
Right.
As if cops are subhuman or not real people.
Sure.
That's fucking crazy.
Well, and I mean,
it's crazy that we watch that movie in the society, like you said, we're so used to it. We're like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, and
at least no civilians died, just cops.
Well, and that's like
that's fucked up.
Well, it's like an untreated wound, you know.
Indeed.
I mean,
you mean that's
just
like
a bad.
Or something?
Well, no. So you have like. So here's one. Here's one, for instance. You have a county sheriff's department. You have a city police officer, and you have like a state patrolman, and they're realistically not really at all the same thing. Then, you know, inside that you have investigators that work in that county. They all have totally different jobs, realistically. But they all blend in. They remind me of bees or something on a job site. Everyone runs from the same thing. Some are honeybees, some are wasps, some are... Nobody knows the difference, really, between cops and like what they're there for or what the point is. And then cops just kind of take advantage of that. Like I said, it was a state police officer. Pulled me over in a 25-mile-an-hour zone because my license plate was dirty. You know, and the phrase was this: "Your license plate's dirty. I can't really see it. Is there a reason why?" And I mean, you know, that verbiage is provoking. Any way you look at it, he's trying to get me to argue, you know, and I just don't.
That language, exactly.
Well,
his motivation was to harass you.
I teach it. So it's like when I'm from my position, you know, it's like I'm watching somebody that's like, man, you know, it's like, I wanted to put him into a accountability group so we could change his verbiage. You know what I mean? Like, he needed to change he had some thinking errors, you know, and I wanted to let him know, but I also know how to just de-escalate a situation and just go home.
Exactly.
You know, and I just don't care. It's just the wrong place to argue about it.
Right.
And that's why I say I'd rather take it to a podcast, talk about it, and just be honest you know, because
I know, like I said, my whole family were cops, so I know that you have to give them what they want or they won't fuck off. You just brought up bees and wasps, like buzzing around.
Yeah.
Same thing. Go put some fucking, throw a piece of cheeseburger over there. They're so dumb, they'll just flock over to it. That's how cops are. You just give them what they want, and they're so dumb, they'll just be like, okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I just don't want to deal with it. And like, so I don't want to be helpful to the things that do matter. You know, because there are real crimes.
They don't care about those.
No, but I mean, I'm saying they do exist, and they are the people who have to deal with them when they are discovered. Even if a citizen is the reason they find out, you know, even if they're not the reason that the crime's discovered.
I'm thinking about the mentality of that officer who made that Yui and came after me the other night. He wasn't scanning the streets looking for that. He wasn't. If that's his judgment, that means he failed at his job. Because I'm a law-abiding citizen.
That's what I'm saying.
Perfect record. That means his judgment isn't good enough to fucking identify crime.
And that's what
because he looked past it and then locked onto me.
Right.
As crime went waltzing right past him.
That's the part
He's
of
not
the
qualified.
argument. That's the part of the argument that I'm interested in, mostly. Like I said, in a functional way, as opposed, you know, in a way of just interesting. It's all interesting, but I mean, as a citizen, which aspect of it am I most interested in as far as change? And the way I see change is the same way that like the marijuana laws got changed. It was through the functionality of the money making aspect that was put on paper and proven. And in Oregon's case, through Colorado, you know, Colorado's the one that took the leap and just went off the actual, speculated numbers. But the speculated numbers of cops pulling people over is just, it's financially going to be backwards. So what you have to do is you have to get inside of how the police are paid. You have to make it not about tickets. It has to be about, it has to be about crimes caught, not tickets given. It has to be about actual, like, your pay comes from your ability to prove a crime. You know what I mean? Like, not if that makes sense.
Well, unfortunately, I couldn't totally listen to you because it's still not picking this shit out. And I'm trying to figure out how because it's just really pissing me off to just have hours of shit.
But that doesn't make sense because that was already like that. We already had it before.
I fucking don't know. Check. Let's see if this thing works.
Does it already? We already did it before.
With this one?
No, like we've already done this whole thing before.
What?
Like we've done so many streams that didn't have these problems. So.
Check. Why does it have to have a bright ass light that's gonna shine on my face? There's tape in here somewhere right there. Let's see if what's happening is yours was like.
Here, let me pull this plug.
So that yours is all echoey, and then all of a sudden it's crystal clear, and mine starts cutting out.
Okay, here let's do this. Here's what we're doing. Okay, I unplugged that, which means I'm not going to feed through your headphones. So, but you're not feeding through mine either. So I'm only going on one channel, and you're the other one. So turn me all the way down on number 1 there.
Oh shit.
Okay, so now you're the only one on your board now.
Check. So now I'm the only one on the board. Is
your
mic powered?
My mic is hooked up through the USB on its own channel.
Hello. Anyone watching this? We're an hour into this.
So yours is pretty low right now, so I'd crank up the masters. Try the masters there. Yeah.
Check.
There you go. Now you're
check.
Now you're close. Let's try that out.
Check. What the fuck? Man.
That's what
fucking
that's what
audio,
well, when you don't have a producer, I mean, we don't have any way to know, so we just have to test
But this shouldn't be that hard. I guess streaming's different, the bandwidth thing, right? I mean,
or just I'm not sure. I think maybe we just had some mic interaction contamination there that we didn't know about. Some brand new equipment. Maybe a little contamination.
Yeah, maybe
But Your mic is super directional because, like, when I talk, your mic doesn't do anything. When you talk, my mic bumps a tiny bit. Oh, okay, so Callista just said he's, what, better or worse? Wait a minute. It just says that it's better. Oh, better again. Okay. So it was better, then it was worse, now it's better.
Check. There's nothing on this mic on here.
Hold on, but which one? Oh, because it's too low, maybe, or
like it's not even picking up fucking anything. But
well,
I can
did
hear
that
it in my
before.
headphones, so I know it's going into this
Right.
and not into there. Technology can just kiss my ass.
So that's, well, yeah. I mean that when you say it that close, and then it's pretty low. So
Check.
That's pretty normal now.
There, it's about. Yeah.
But you got to eat that mic to make it work compared
This
to
guy?
the other ones. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's like Into Club.
Welcome to 1 hour of audio problems. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I know. Krista's saying if she was there, she could help us with the audio. I know. It's the problem isn't that.
It's something new every fucking day, though.
Okay, good. She says that's good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dude, it just makes me want to murder. Wait, no, I won't actually murder.
No, I know. You don't want to say that on a thing. Yeah, okay, let's see. Foots get to right in your mouth. What? No? Oh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's talking about murdering people. Yeah, no, it's weird because then if somebody dies around you and you've got like a bunch of murder coverage on your streamcast, then you're going to be like the first person they look at.
Fuck it, I don't even fucking care anymore.
Oh, she says right there, you're doing a good job. It's 100 times better. There, we're good to go. It was my fault. I was contaminating it by putting a feed, like some kind of loop.
I just don't think that's what it is.
I do.
Then why is my other condenser mic not working?
It is.
This one is.
No, it should. That one, because I didn't have that unplugged yet. That's the first thing you tried since I unplugged that.
Seriously?
Uh-huh.
You know what's funny about that mic? It's sticky. It's sticky,
It's
dude.
143 fucking years old.
Check.
That looks normal, right?
Okay?
I don't know. Well, let's see what Callista says.
Yeah, right. God, this is so
Yeah, see, she says, I was saying that you really got to swallow that mic. So, yeah. So
this thing?
No, you're the one you were on. Yeah, that brown one. And I agree. That's what I did last stream.
Why is
You
it
could tell.
sticky?
Because
Where has this thing been?
Well, so Nick's so funny. Okay, so check it.
No, seriously, where is it? Look at the shape. Suspicious.
Let me tell you. Okay. So that thing. Okay. So that mic is that mic is.
Oh my god. I don't want. I wonder what studio that mic was in.
Thanks, Caleb.
I can't hear you in my headphone, but I can still hear you in the.
No, I can't hear you in mine either. We're isolated from each other's headphones now.
StreamWorld's bullshit.
No, because we're not. We wouldn't be. That's why we got to build like a.
Maybe it's a good thing that the part with me going Alex Jones about cops isn't. The audio is questionable because it's not like my best moment. You could tell I was really mad.
Well, no, that's hey.
I didn't even get pulled over, and I was really mad. And that's why I told you I was baiting the fucker. Like, I'm not even going to use my blinker. Like, I'm going to give this dude every reason I can to pull me over. Like, when the light turned green, I just sat there. Like, 1, 2, blinker.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't. It was pretty lame.
Remember that cop? So you just told me the dirty license plate story. I told you the story years ago. The cop who pulled me over for having the tags on the wrong side.
No. Oh, is that what you did?
It was long ass time ago, but it was so funny because the cop's like, "Did you put these tags on your car?" And I was like, "No," and I didn't. I just bought the car. And he's like, "They're on backwards." And I was like, "Oh, shit. Is that a crime?" It's like, "No, should be." And then he
You're like fucking old prick.
Cops, whatever. Seriously?
Man, somebody's calling.
Why is the
you.
world all up
Somebody's
in my
calling
grill
you.
right now? Nobody ever bothers me.
Let's see what we got going on here.
Whatever. Whatever, dude. Whatever. I'm glad. Okay, it's good. I'm glad we just talked an hour about cops and none of it's even usable.
Yeah, but dude, we had viewers the whole time. So I mean, some people
what were they viewing?
even though they couldn't hear us. So we got some pretty good fans out there.
All right, I guess so. Those diehard fans that they're listening, and it sounds like shit.
I think we're back on board right now, though.
Okay. All right.
And let's see
Let's talk about fucking
what
fun
says.
shit. Let's talk about
having a conversation about stickers.
Let's talk about like blowing homeless dudes and shit, like fucking live music or like.
Okay. We can do that. I mean.
This fucking guitar is like a one-trick pony. It's got no tone. It's so weird that this thing is this is even sells because it just there's nothing there.
So Callista said that basically you could hear us, but it was just low, really low before. That's all.
Imagine having a conversation about stickers. Is that what that says?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like what kind of stickers?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, just imagine having a conversation about them.
Okay, hold on. Wow, that was like really there. Like I could smell the air.
I
think there may have been a continental breakfast nearby.
Delicious.
You know, like a motel breakfast.
That should bring us to that segment. What are you going to have for lunch today?
You know, when you get me talking about food, I'll just talk about food forever, and that's why.
Yeah, but everybody wants to know what are we going to have. Caleb suggests pot stickers.
So I fucking love pot stickers, and I get those ones at in Bingen. It's like $7 or $8. I don't fucking know what it is, but they're great, and I'll eat just those things. They're fucking great. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
It's
delicious.
Weird. There's not very much food I don't like. Now that I think about it.
Oh, I see. Cops pulling people over to talk about stickers. Yeah, that's what I get it. She clarified. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, I don't mind that they look for the stickers to make sure you're legal and everything, but the fact that we've been pulled over so many multiple times for that is just seems odd in like life. But it is what it is.
I've never been pulled over for anything that isn't arbitrary. Ever in my life. I was like trying to think back. Like, I don't even think I have a traffic ticket. Seriously. I'm thinking back. Like, I mean, when I was really young, dumb, you know, I got like driving while suspended, driving while uninsured, right? But that was 24 years ago. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I haven't had a ticket since like 1998.
No, I'm not a big
or something guy. Like that. But I've still been pulled over so many times with no tickets. I got pulled over
one time, legitimately, on the freeway in my brother-in-law's truck, and it had like cruise control that had some pretty good slop in it, and we were kind of coming down one of the hills on the freeway, and it got up to maybe like 75, maybe 77, something like that. We got pulled over. I had it set at like 72, maybe 70 cruise control. So it was getting up there, and got a warning. But it was, you know, what I seemed legitimate because I was going pretty fast, you know.
You know, it's not really about
wasn't too big of a deal.
Experiences. I think it's the other side is that there's a dude sitting in a car doing that with his life.
Yeah.
That's fucking weird. How pathetic do you have to be?
Well, and I only bring that up because like that's one of the times where we got pulled over where I didn't think it was that out of the question. There's definitely been times where I've been in the passenger seat with other people who are driving really wild or crazy, and the cops try to pull us over or whatever. And like I understand why they did.
Yeah,
I didn't blame the cops, but I've been pulled over out of this business right here so many times, illegitimately.
Right.
That
being harassed.
It just becomes like I said. I quit drinking. I tell everybody this. I actually literally quit drinking in my life because I couldn't drive home after having even like a beer at like 5 p.m. If I just smelt like beer, if I pour beer cans out at the end of the night and clean up the place, I don't even clean up because I don't want to smell like booze, because it
Right.
just creates a
It just creates a problem.
it's
That's
like
what I've
another
said too. Like I don't
30-minute
even want the smell in
situation.
my car. Like,
And it just makes me feel like shit all the time. I don't want to deal with it. And
Right.
so it's like 2 a.m. and I'm pulling out of here after somebody rented the place. And they can't ever get together. There's no database. Where the fuck? That, like, they just can't get together and go, oh, yeah, that's Roman. Like, it's just such a fucking small town.
oh right, I see what
It's just so stupid. I mean, at some point I had a taxi driver's license, which is through the city. You know, I work, like I said, we work with the cops and, you know, in the community all the time. I mean, it's just irritating.
That
Because
is
I
really
can't imagine what they're doing to people who aren't at all even where I'm at.
Right.
Like I
weren't
just I have
savvy
a
to
perfectly
weren't
fine
savvy to their
car, and
pathetic, desperate behavior.
I have a Honda Pilot. All the lights and lenses are perfectly fine, and my car looks perfectly like normal.
Right.
There's no reason to pull me over. I wasn't wearing, you know, I didn't look odd at all in any way.
Right.
And that's just the way you get treated. So that's just everyone. There's
know.
not, you know, it wasn't especially me.
Right.
I
And that's
didn't,
not
you
making
know,
the community safer. Again, like you
No.
said, what that does
waste of time.
is it takes away business from Hood River.
You just-
Because there's people like me who are like, you know what? I don't even want to go downtown and have a beer with
Not
my
even
dinner
near- not
because I
even
don't want to get
hours.
harassed by some pathetic piece of
Right.
shit who's trying to validate his fucking
Not
badge.
even if I got off work at 5 p.m. and I came down here to do sound and I wanted to have a couple beers
That means
and then
I'm not bringing
stop-
business to this town because of the police.
right,
Is what
and
I'm
then
saying.
stop
Who-
drinking.
How many others are doing the same?
Well, why can't I have a couple beers and then
You can
stop
legally.
drinking until like 1 a.m. and then drive home?
You can.
I know, but
That's
I'm
why I
telling
say
you,
I demand a
it's
fucking
dangerous.
breathalyzer.
It's
It's dangerous
fucking-
because you're just like you said, you're just going to get in a situation that you
Mhm.
don't want to be in. Which is
And-
why do I have to deal with this piece of shit who's just trying to create a problem to validate this stop right here?
Well, it's just like a constant thing too, and then if that keeps happening over and over again, then like they just start going on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing until they
Yes.
find something wrong with you.
Exactly. You know,
That's
one time
I'm trying to make business, and we're trying to pay rent, and like the whole thing becomes really stressful because we're trying to make business, and like, you know, from people writing letters to eliminate things like the amphitheater from happening, which directly affects us, and like people really being like hard on, you know, just everybody trying to enjoy their life. Just everywhere you look, there's some group of people trying to make it hard for people to have any kind of pleasure. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. Like,
Right.
and it's coming from both sides, whether it's a bunch of littering pricks at the skate park or whether it's a bunch of people who are like, there's no way we can have lights. There's just no way, you know, lights are just bad for the world, you know? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's coming from every direction.
Right.
But the one thing they all have in common is everybody's like, no, 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 for some reason. And we're just in a real dark age of like, nobody's really, nobody's demanding that things be reevaluated more frequently. So sometimes there's a really bad idea, and then like, wait a minute, a couple years later, bam, like, whoa, that's a way better idea. You know, like we could change this, but we hadn't reevaluated it in so long. You know,
Caleb, the answer, the solution to what you're saying there is if it's a cop riding your ass, pull over. That's what I was saying earlier. That's what I do, and it pisses them the fuck off because now they have to own their fucking shit
Right.
and make a decision. Am I going to flip on my lights and pull this guy over? Because I better have a reason when I do. And I know all this shit because my family were cops, dude. Like, he has to make a fucking executive decision, and you're the one who forced him to make it when you said it's time to make the decision.
Right.
Now they're uncomfortable. Now they're already off balance, dude. Like I said, I did this in Damascus recently when a sheriff flipped a U. Came for me. I'm like, oh, fucking hell no. Right when he came up on my ass, I just pulled the fuck over.
right?
He had to flip his lights on and block traffic. So it made it all that much more uncomfortable and awkward for him. And then by the time he came up, like I said, I always address them first. Don't let them speak first. Because now you decided where we're pulling over. You decide who starts the conversation. Now they just want to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Now they're off balance and uncomfortable. And they're like, you know what? I don't even want to fucking deal with this guy.
Well,
And
I
it's
mean-
it's easy to do because they're really fucking naive.
Well, and there's just no incentive in that situation in a traffic stop. There's no incentive to try to play their game because their game doesn't end well. I mean, they remind me of the kind of culture of people like a parent who says, if you clean your room, I'll let you have this pizza. And so you clean your room, but then, they say, oh, okay, and well, could you also do the dishes, and then I'll give you the pizza. It's a culture of they just continually take. Yeah. And they don't really give anything back. And that's kind of the nature of the government in general. Like, they make a new law, but they don't reevaluate old laws that don't make sense anymore at the same time as making a new one to kind of offset.
Because it's easier to write laws than it is to get rid of laws.
They just keep doing that. Well, you have to kind of almost write another law to get rid of an old law.
Exactly. It's easier to do that than
you can't just wipe it away because there's somebody out there that's like, well, this law kept me from blah 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 or this and this. There was like some positive reason to have it.
It's called the Bob Pearson effect or something.
I'll give you an example.
This guy died because of that or whatever.
Well, I'll give you an example of just really not even dangerous stuff, but like something like that fucking not being able to pump your own gas. I'm going to tell you what, right? I live in Parkdale, and there's a pump your own station in Parkdale because it's far enough out of the city to fucking have that, right? Mm-hmm. And I am not shitting you. Fucking welcome to the real world. I pull up there whenever the fuck I feel like it. I get out. I listen to my rock music. I just open the door to my car and just pull up and fucking unscrew the gas cap and shove that fucker in and pump gas in it. And it's like a fucking dream, okay? It's a fucking dream.
Liberating.
It is a fucking dream that I don't have to make a weird communication with a person who really doesn't. People need to do something else. They can do anything else. Get on a construction crew, learn a skill, a trade, go do concrete work. There's a lot of things that you move up at, but people don't need to be gas station attendants. It doesn't need to be there.
No.
It just doesn't. They
could
change
the idea
oils.
Is you're creating.
They could wipe windows.
You're creating a job.
They do not need to stick the nozzle in for me. Yeah. There's some other parts I wouldn't mind. They could run in and get a soda or some smokes if I smoked. Mm-hmm. They could do something like they could make gas stations into like pot stores, and they could have like people run in and grab your eighth for you. Like it could be a service job, right? But they don't need to put that fucker in the hole legally. Like it's just not it's stupid. Yeah. And it's another one of those government things that everyone knows is stupid, and they look right at it and they go, "Well,
so I live in Washington. I still do it in Oregon, and it pisses people off sometimes. Some places I go, they're like, "Oh, you're not allowed to do that."
Oh, right.
Like, okay, well, I don't care. Where the fuck were you? Sure. Wasting my fucking time. I need to get the fuck out of here. I don't have time to wait for you to fucking figure out what planet you're on.
Well, I can give a shout out to a few like Windmaster. They got great service. Gas station attendants. Like there's people who run right the fuck out there. They're on it. The Heights, Shell, they're on it. Whatever the fuck that is. Is it Shell? Don't remember.
Right.
But like Devon's place, they're on it. Yeah. There's several places that are right on top of it, but I don't. On it. But I'm saying I travel a lot. I don't think it's helpful. I just don't think it's helpful.
No, it's not.
Like I just don't think. It's not. It's just like it's actually a hindrance. You can get more gas pumped. It's not fair to the guy who owns the gas station because he could get more gas pumped per hour if you allow guys to just jump out, put the fucker in the hole, shove it in. There's more gas. Basically, there's a gas station attendant for each vehicle.
So hold on a second. You're raising a pretty good point there. It's pretty interesting. So what you're saying, this is fucking crazy. I can't believe I've not thought of this before, and I'm sure so many people have thought of this. So the only thing in Oregon that's holding this back is a law. There's a law, right? Mm-hmm. Fucking law, legislatively says you cannot pump your own gas in the state of Oregon. Right. So the guy who owns, the employer or the owner, has to hire people and pay them to pump your gas. Mm-hmm. So under your theory there, not only are they getting less gas pumped for having an attendant, on top of that, they also have to pay an attendant.
Right.
So the argument is we're creating X amount of minimum wage jobs, right? Mm-hmm. And the employer probably, or the owners probably get some kind of fucking subsidy or tax break. I'm guessing.
Well, it's okay. Let's say that they get to hire people at a low enough rate that those people are on some kind of help, maybe in housing or something like that. They would qualify for Oregon Health Plan with those kind of wages, bunch of part-time workers. And so they're costing the government money in that way by having to employ those people. And otherwise, like I said, those people have to work. And I mean, I'm for people getting jobs, but I just think they wouldn't be able to go there for a job. They'd have to step up a little bit more and get like an entry level construction job or an entry level kitchen job or something where.
What I mean though is economically, I wonder what the balance is.
You can see it. I'm state for state. I mean, Oregon's one of two, maybe even. I don't know. They loosened the restrictions on the east side of Oregon.
I think it's the only state.
But I don't think there's many states that have it. So I think the stats are pretty easy to see, like Oregon versus other states.
Well, I mean, like economically. So
that's what I mean. Gas
if we have this business here,
make,
make
per
this much money, and this guy would make.
If you take a town that's got 50,000 people in it, and you take a 76 station in another town, another state, do they make more money?
What's the economic impact?
I'm going to guess that they make less money, because even the gas per gallon's more simply to pay that attendant. I mean, it's kind of put into it in some weird way.
Like you just mentioned that I was thinking the same thing. Like there's probably like several, if not a dozen, factors we're not even thinking about.
Right.
Economically, from the ownership side, and the economic impact of just in your neighborhood of having X amount of people employed at a minimum wage position, and then what those people are, what impact they will have on the economy, and what impact is the minimum wage? Not much.
Well, I think
you know what I mean. They're probably renting the fucking cheapest place they can find. They're driving the cheapest car they can find, and they're spending as little as they can because they don't have any money.
Well, and I just think you take that money, that whatever that impact is, right? And you can just turn it. I mean, you don't have to just let it go to the gas station owner. I mean, there's a way to manipulate that money somehow and to make it into the part of the UBI, Dude,
Caleb I'm also had Mrs. Nussbaum's credit card. Sorry.
No, that's good. But UBI, I'm a UBI fan, Universal Basic Income. I think that a lot of the stuff we want to do is in the economy is that we want to clean up things that people don't need to do. We don't need to create jobs simply because people need money. I think that's inefficient. I think it's also bad for the environment.
That argument is so weird too, because it's like let's open a brothel, creates jobs. I mean, sure. I mean, I'm not saying I'm against brothels either.
Honestly,
I'm just saying
by limiting the
excuse of just.
Well, if you limit more, if you take away some of the jobs for some of the productivity, then you have a little more of a say imagine a trickle down effect, something like. You throw away less food. You have a more efficient system. You produce less food. So the impacts are less migrant labor because you're making less food. So say you only throw away like 10% of your food. So that means you're really going to start where that's going to actually get hit is in production, right? But then we all know that production is actually fucked up because we make food at too much bulk, right? That we need to make the factory smaller. That's actually the key to making it healthy, sustainable, and friendly to the animals, things like that. So we already know kind of like we have that pattern. But there's just like some really big hogs at the top, right? Because they're making a ton of cash. But I mean, I'm just saying, like legislatively,
right?
When you chase this thing around, you start to realize that there's some really sound plans like UBI that actually pay people really not to work but you need them to live. You want them to have somewhere to live and everything. You want them part of the economy, but just not in a way that's dependent on their labor.
Right.
Because their labor actually hurts the world.
It does, but see what you're also talking about here is like an almost unimaginable amount of systems like this that have been created, and then generations pass on, and they're reliant on these systems.
Right.
Just like a tax system, right? I mean, that's kind of what you're saying, like the immigration and farming, for example, like you mentioned. Now we have farming subsidies that are tied up into this, and now we have global trade is kind of tied up into it, and then there's so many grains of sand on the beach, complexity of these systems. And then once they're set in motion, once the minimum wage gas station analogy you were using, once that ball is rolling, and the next generation of public officials and legislative bodies are elected, they're inheriting the system. And then they have all these other systems they're trying to fix, and it's like they have to take priority over it. And then the next generation comes on. Next thing you know, 4 generations have gone by, and we're still paying some fucking lousy dude to pump our gas. You know what I mean? And then the local, I'm done here. The local economy now is reliant on this system. They're like, no, we can't pull the plug on this because there's this whole sector that's reliant on this system that we didn't deal with 40 years ago. And now there's no turning back, because if we pull the plug, these people won't have somewhere to live and blah, blah, blah. And then like, it's just like tax systems, arbitrary tax systems is the same thing.
And that's why it's actually not about the fact that it's true. Everyone agrees that it's true. The argument is in how to transition.
Right.
And that's why
nobody's disagreeing.
It's actually the same thing with gun control, to bring the entire thing back around. But I really believe it's in the how you transition to the reality. Like from like what part of anything you change, what part of the old way are you keeping in there? Like Biden, right? He comes in somewhat progressive in some ways, gets the stimulus through. It's definitely because the government's all Democratic, but you know that's basically why. It's not any hoop Biden jumped or anything. But what he did do though is fire a bunch of people for past marijuana use, and that's. I had to look at that from a few angles because I couldn't really believe it. I thought maybe it was just sensationalism, but you know, it seems like it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a legit story. Whatever.
And you kind of, you just kind of look at it and think like, yeah, I mean, that's what happens. You know, you're really talking about people like, you know, Kamala Harris, and you're really talking about people who really have made a career on distorting things like marijuana, you know, in the criminal justice concepts, like really just distorting it.
Another arbitrary system, right? That's gone on generations. Like there's now an economy around incarcerating marijuana users, right? It's almost like, because prison's a growth industry.
Right.
So some percentage of that growth industry is an economy reliant on marijuana busts. Right. That's fucking ridiculous. And that's like you said, that's just one system.
The capitalist concept that sneaks into a government entity, like a police department, that's based on the amount of tickets, like a quota. Right. That's a capital. Quota is like a sales quota concept that's snuck in.
It means we need crime. It means we welcome crime because crime means money.
You can't let that in.
Such a fucked up.
So here's what happens. So here's the twist. So you have a police department in a county that's real capitalist, you know, in that way. And then you have maybe one next to it that's real ethical. And the one that's ethical ends up with like these giant Ponzi schemes because people just take advantage of it. Like the city manager here in Hood River and the deals that he did with the fucking sewer departments and all the bullshit that fucking fool pulled and then bailed and then went to work for Ryan Juice. You know, it's real well known. It was public in the newspapers, and it's like people that take advantage of their position and then just kind of. And the thing is, a lot of people will like kind of the result, and so they'll go ahead and defend it. You know, so a lot of people defend crooked politics because the result ended up good. You know, that's a bitch move. You know, if you're, you know, I've been refereeing and umpiring sports games for a long time, and you know, the rules are the rules. You know, you can't pay attention to the result. This doesn't mean that everything worked out because the result of the game worked out just the way it should have been. If you cheated, you cheated, and that's the way it goes. And you need to stop the game and go back. I mean, you'll see that happen all the time in life, and people don't like it. And you know, it's a real weird. It really affects the future of the rules.
Caleb, you know? The language changes over time, but it's still the same thing with just a different word. Meaning, are quotas actually a thing? Fuck yes, they are. Do they call it a quota? No. They obscure the language, but it's all the same thing.
Right. Well,
it's basically your chief, like, hey, you know what I need.
Or
you know what I mean? It's like the department needs revenue. We need more of this. Or you know what you've got to do.
When you disrupt a certain part of the community and you create statistics on your behalf of this disruption that you've created, and you make the charts, the statistics, then you try to get a grant. Then you lean on your statistics to get your grant. And your grant is money for your department.
Right.
So I don't understand not a shot at you, Caleb, but I think you're talking about a direct. I think he's asking directly to people.
No, he's not the only person who's
I'm going to guess I'm just going to say there's like 5 loop around ways to make money from the same way. You know, it's the same thing. It's, you know, I mean, basically they've unleashed all the police and the military and everything have kind of unleashed into the idea that they're in the market of, like, you know, baseball caps and beer koozies and things like that. You know, I mean, they're not it's not even remotely covert anymore, you know. And I just think that what I would really my goal for public entities is to just really be public and to be as universal as possible. And that means no like blue line flags or no gay pride flags, neither one. I'd rather not have any flags, to be honest with you. I'd like the symbolism of my police department to just be the symbolism that's directly associated just with their department. So it's real clear. I'd like that to be there for my kid, for the future of people, so that the whole thing's not really convoluted. I think there's a real symbolism is really important over generations. How convoluted, like if you think about, imagine how it affected people that used to look at the Nazi symbol as like part of their faith, you know, and then the Nazis stole the symbol, and then now that was like they had to like bastardize the symbol because like they just couldn't like explain it away. You know what I mean? Like, and so symbolism really, it takes over. And so what you have with things like that separate kind of vibe, even right or wrong, doesn't really matter what you think about it. When you make it there, you create some serious shit that lasts a lot longer than people realize.
Lasts a lot longer. And I was just going to say that, like, about cops, and we're talking about just systems, you know, that go ignored or unchecked because they're just too difficult to deal with or just get outright ignored. You know, and we were talking about tax systems, but in regards to police, it's taboo in our society for some reason to talk shit about the police, to talk truth about the way the public's treated about the police. And it's again, it's the same thing. It's a system that's just allowed to go unchecked. Nobody wants to go there. No one wants to fuck with the cops because every time you do, your life becomes more complicated, right?
Right. And the defense mechanism.
It's a system that's just left unregulated and unchecked.
Right.
And they just go on being pieces of shit and nobody does anything about it just because of that reason.
Well, in reality,
they don't want to get tainted with the poison that's just being involved with the criminal system or law enforcement in general. They're unpleasant people.
And I think there's a
Straight
connection.
Up. It's a bad crowd.
Well, there's just a connection to the fact that you have judges and DAs and people like that.
And it's all one size fits all.
That are, well, they're not. Judges, DAs and judges and even investigators, and I mean, they should act a lot more like social workers.
Cops?
Not necessarily cops. Cops kind of have a job. Then they need to be able to even arrest a judge. That's my point. They just don't need to be friendly. It's a job that shouldn't be done for more than 10 years at a time. It's a job that shouldn't be done by anyone under 30. It's a job, like there's just a window of service. I think it should be highly paid.
You're talking solutions
cops.
now.
I think it's really fucking hard to be a cop. It's
yeah,
the
it is,
hardest job I can think about doing.
So that's great that you're bringing that up. So like we've talked about in other casts about sports, about people who get paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
That is clearly the solution.
Well,
we need to pay them what it's worth to do the job.
If they want to sell beer koozies, right? And fucking t-shirts and shit, and give the fucking money to like a badass cop that's like a fucking sexy hunk, fucking muscular bad, or just a hot bitch with big tits that's just fucking hot, and they want to make money and fucking pay those people to be like fucking badasses and do their job well and stick a camera on and be proud of your fucking job. What the fuck is wrong with that? I'll watch that TV show. Like,
yeah, the TV show.
Cops,
no, that's great.
Making fun of people that are homeless. Like, right. I want to watch like you could if you could put a camera on my daily work, on our weekly work at my job, you would see a fucking compassionate, hardworking group of people who like really listen to people's stories, and really before we act on something you think might be wrong, you ask questions and you find out so much more about the situation, and there's no fucking excuse.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would take a fucking bullet before I would act that undignified. And I mean, just like the idea of skirting through a shitty job and doing a shitty job at it, and then fucking making some excuse because like, oh, well, I might get shot or some shit, is really low, I think. And I think I have a job where I'm comfortable saying that.
So remember we were talking about sports, and I was talking about like how somebody comes to make that much money.
Right.
Just some guy like, no, I need this type of performance, and I've got a deep wallet. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't win this football game, I'll pay some guy more who can.
Well,
and then you get to this point where you're paying people $20 million or whatever. Hundreds of million dollars. Think of policing as in the same way. Is if you really want the fucking job done, you've got to pay for it because you're going to get what you pay for. And if you're paying a cop $80,000 a year, you're going to get $80,000 a year worth of value out of the guy, which isn't shit.
It's not enough.
If you wanted to pay me to be a cop, I'd need $250,000 at least.
Well, whatever it is, that's a lot. I mean, it's going to be hard
I think
to get
that's what we should pay cops. I'd rather pay fucking five dudes $250,000 a year, and how much money you'd save in civil suits by just having qualified people in your fucking department. That in and of itself would save your department so much money.
Is if you
instead of wasting money on a whole bunch of shitty cops and then paying their civil suits every fucking year, just have a few good cops.
We accidentally made some fucked up situations. Here's one. We created multiple budgets for the similar thing, right? Which is we have a military. So we have the Constitution that separates our military from our police departments. Our police departments, as far as I can tell, historically look like something like a slave type thing that kind of like bubbled over from slaves or something. Like, I don't really understand it exactly where policing comes from exactly. You know, like I'm sure there's different
you're
places
right.
and different. I know where sheriffs
it's about
come
neutralizing,
from. Sheriff's
regulating,
like a bounty hunter kind of vibe. You know, sheriffing.
Yeah.
And then so there's each thing, but we kind of by separating them, we took our resources and put them into a bunch of piles of almost maybe something's going to happen. So what we really have is a whole bunch of people who are National Guardsmen, who are actually perfectly fine to be cops, most of them, and honestly already take up some kind of resource from our actual tax base. And so we have multiple layers of the same kind of person. Like we have dispatches for fire departments and we have dispatches for police departments. And there's not really a whole lot of reason why they wouldn't just be the same thing. And there's all kinds of these layers of separation that cost more and more and more money. And it's back to the jobs thing again. When you attack anything of efficiency, it's always better. It's always smarter. You connect databases. You're going to get these juju-y kind of, oh my God, yeah, but one world government. Like, you know, let's connect up like the databases of the sheriff's department with the city police. Oh, no. They've got to have different bosses, and they've got to have, you know, and you know that's stupid. Everyone knows it is. There's layers and layers of stupid
layers
shit.
Is what I was going to say. It's probably
there's people who go.
It's nuanced. It's probably different.
Like in Washington D.C., it's even worse because they have people who are like, I need to get the pen for them to write it down. You're like, just email it. You know, I mean, we've gone hen shit. We do that shit. So let's just go one optimistic turn on this conversation. One of them is that we, like at my business, I'd say like 50, it looks like around 50%, maybe more of the people who work there are going to probably work from home because they've already pulled it off and there's no reason to house them. So I'm going to guess that's a lot of businesses, right? Because why not, right? I mean, why would you come in if you can see so much benefit of not actually physically going into an office, right? So, I mean, we're on our way, man. The reason they didn't do it before was because they had convinced themselves that they wanted to, you know, that was like an important part of it, the going in. And then now they realize like we didn't need to. So, you know, like it's like
it took that for them to actually discover it. And because they had to experience it instead of just somebody suggesting, hey, maybe if we did things different, right? And it's harder to be like, to imagine it, especially like, you know, with your day-to-day lives. It's hard. It's hard to just tap into.
But that's a really
what it would really
thing.
Be like to not have fuck the police departments the way we have them.
So now I think everybody knows. I think we've shut the economy down for the most part, but somehow still the people who made the most money have made a lot of money. And so I think it's really obvious that if there's a tax net there for a certain amount of money made over a certain amount and it just gets taxed to holy hell, that the system can actually totally work fine without any of those people working at any of those restaurants or gas. All the people that lost their job, we don't need any of them to work for the economy to work. Amazon proved it. You know what I mean? Like just 10 tech giants that proved none of that is necessary. And so now it's really hard to argue it, and I don't know where it's headed. I don't know what's going to happen in the next few years, but I'd be kind of shocked if people at least don't start thinking about more factual-based economic terms as opposed to just kind of like some really weird general opinions that don't seem to be based in any fact. And especially now that we did COVID, and now you can even see more fact to support UBI, you know?
See, I don't know that. I'm still trying to digest some of what you said, and I think some of it I kind of see a different way, especially in regards to the economy. Because, again, too, it's going to be different from place to place, and like what unemployment is in one area is different than what it is in another. And it doesn't just mean how much they made and now that they're not making. It actually has a lot to do with just the community as a whole.
Sure.
Well, for how this is economically impacting this community or that community.
Yeah.
But in regards to the taxes, dude, Zoom paid 0 federal taxes
that's what I'm
on
saying.
their record
We're
fucking
not
year.
talking
So I mean,
about
it's just.
You know,
But that's not raising, is it?
Just
yeah.
making,
That's not raising shit. I pay we pay like 26% of our fucking money to taxes. This guy paid nothing. I'm like, I'm poor as shit. I don't even have a savings account. This guy could buy and sell Brazil 10 times in a row.
There's that, but let me.
You know what I mean? And he's paying nothing. Fuck you.
Watch why we have a stupid thing. Like, watch what I mean really quick. Watch. So you say you have a really polluting business, and you got a bunch of people that work there. So you got a really polluting business, and then in the future, because we want green markers, right? We have government that wants markers in the green, right? So so they're gonna like fine those people for like making excess pollution, and so they make an excessive product that doesn't get eaten. It gets thrown in the garbage, and then they have excessive labor that gets paid excessive amounts of money because labor keeps going up. And then all those things are actually like super counterproductive because even the tax base doesn't need to exist from them. Those people could actually probably less money in that whole amount that the company could just pay those people not to work, and they'd still eat their chicken, and like there'd be a machine that did the work. Like it'd still probably be more profitable than fining the company for having the pollution and the shitty business markers and all that. That's where we're headed. So they just add more things that are like actually pushing against each other. And you take them both away, and you have some of the similar effects. It's just all nonsense. And what you also have is another effect, which is people doing what they want instead of working at a chicken processing factory. They're doing what they want. You know, they're just like hanging out with their family, just doing nothing, just chilling. That's a way better product if you just take most of it away.
That's a better society, but again, it's another system that cannot be fucking reformed.
No, the guy could
there's just too much. It's overwhelming.
He could be like making he could have a little jalapeno patch in his backyard that he's weeding the garden or something with that time. And then he just wouldn't need to eat more jalapenos, and that'd like cut down on their productivity, and then people would have more of their own food, and like not a lot, not all of it, but a little more. You know what I mean? And you'd still have like really big everythings. Don't get me wrong.
See, farming's so complicated. I always like, I think for me anyway, it probably is for other people, I'd imagine. It's easier to grasp huge concepts, you know, by starting somewhere really small.
Yeah.
So like a good example is to imagine like the economics of, the hypothetical is just one small town and has X amount of residents, and a paper mill opens in this small town. Now the paper mill is employing a lot of people. It's also paying a lot of taxes. It's also producing a lot of pollutants. And now this, you know, over time, couple generations, this paper mill, it actually has enough revenue to buy and sell this town that it's in at this point. And now the town has become completely reliant on the tax revenue generated from this paper mill.
Yeah.
Then the paper mill closes down. The town closes down. Now we're all like, well, we need to save the town. Why? It's also the same. I always use the washboard. Like the washboard is how we used to wash our clothes. Someone invented a washing machine. Nobody's bitching like fucking washing machine. It's destroyed the washboard industry.
So here's one of the solvers.
So hold on a moment. I got one more. And this is the fucking part of it that's the worst, which is now this paper mill, they spend about $1.2 million, let's just hypothetically say, every year to dispose of waste properly. And they hire a guy, which we call lobbyists, but they're actually just people who bribe you, to go and make a proposition to the mayor of this town and say, look, dude, if you could pass this law, make it a little bit easier for us to dispose of this waste in the river, and you save us $1 million a year. We'll cut you in on that. We'll give you fucking $100,000 right now. We'll cut you a check. All you got to do is sign that law. That's how it begins. And that, again, I can't say this enough times to stress it, that's a drop in the bucket. That's a grain of sand on the beach of the way all of our systems work. All across the country, from a huge oil lobbyist coming in saying, dude, you're going to save us $2 trillion and we'll give you a cut and we'll fund your military. And like
saying,
it's all just bribery.
And these systems did not have that.
These systems, though, they get set up, they get locked in, and they never get fixed.
See, there's a really easy
It never changes.
See, the people who go on the Senate floor and they do those things, like they make government, they make things that have to do with what's legal and not legal to do in business. Not exactly the same as when society votes on a bill. So the people who run the lobbies for voting on something is different than bribing an individual person.
Right.
Right.
Well, it's legalized bribery is
like
lobbying.
Marijuana, for instance, there wasn't an individual person that was going to benefit from that. There was a lot of people who would. There's big groups of people who would. And the government in its whole, which is a revolving door of people who choose to work there, maybe, from the school district or whatever, they knew they were going to benefit from it. And so they didn't lobby against it, so to say. A lot of those groups decided to go not against
that dude's going to blow a tire.
But my point is
don't drive down there.
Things that made more sense get voted through in that form than they do get reliant upon. So the bribery issue, a lot of that has to do with like what gets said on the Senate floor, what gets voted on the Senate floor, the House floor, things like that, and those are budget issues that I think are really
I think I was
easy
just
to see. I mean, like when it's so easy to tell that that's crooked.
Yeah, it's the influence, the power, the influence is money.
But I know
the motivation's money. It's not community.
But like even right now, for instance, like we still have our senator.
Like when Zoom pays zero federal taxes and nobody fucking does anything about it, that's because Zoom has paid off lawmakers not to fucking do anything about it.
Them. I think they're just
same with Amazon. Same with every
necessarily any one particular people like that. Though what I'm saying is they're sliding in to a haven that's been created by businesses before them. They're sliding in. They're probably using the same lawyers.
Yeah, but lawmakers could change everything right now. Congress could change all of this today.
Everybody could. Nobody
I'm saying they could go in today and sign a piece of paper that says bribing public officials is illegal.
They're saying that it's better.
Or they could go in right now and say Zoom needs to pay the same federal tax rate as a citizen who makes fucking $10,000 a year.
But the difference is that
my point is, dude,
I agree with you. I do agree.
They don't because they're paid off. But
here's the thing.
Just like a lobbyist.
But here's what I'm saying is they also create...
Or just like a lobbyist does.
They create an argument, right? And their argument says that these companies provide more jobs, and that's why you don't tax them. See, again, if you get rid of the jobs, you get rid of the excuse. Now they're making money, and it's just one guy making money. Now he doesn't have that excuse anymore. He's just got automated fucking drones, and he's just the only guy that works there.
Yeah, but no, see, that's the internet age. No, in the internet age, though, nobody cares about that. You can't just tell people they created jobs anymore because people can just turn around and say, where's the fucking job? I don't got a job.
You're talking about reality versus the Senate floor. I'm talking about the 60-year-olds and plus that own basically every square inch of land on this planet that believe in that as their argument. I'm not making that argument. I'm saying
I know you're not
against your argument.
Right. That you're saying that this is what they would throw at anyone who would question it.
I'm surrounding the argument and I'm pulling pieces out of it and I'm saying this is no longer part of your argument because I just pulled a piece out of it. We don't need the labor anymore. We don't need the excessive products. We need to be green in a way that actually isn't by fining companies. Because it doesn't actually solve it. That doesn't help anything, right? You need to just actually take the incentive away from making more shit. It actually doesn't make more money even, really, in the long run. Because if you have to pay fines and you have to clean up the garbage, It's actually more counter, and now you're trying to find out ways around it, and like so now there's all this R&D work in like finding materials that aren't as polluting, but that can still hold up, like this shitty straw that I'm trying to use right now. You know what I mean? And like we're working around things instead of incentivizing something else. You know, like incentives is the way that is the part of the Republican point of view usually that does seem to be the right way for me. It's not the fining somebody concept that seems to work as much as incentivizing someone, and just in behavior in general. So
not been my personal experience.
I think if you I'm saying that's just in general psychology. If you want something to happen in the long term, you really don't want to support it by negative stuff. That's the basic prison system, and it might be the biggest failure of all time in the history of the world. Is just our judicial system.
Yeah, because it's a growth industry. It's profitable.
Well, but that's because
that's fucking. You're making money off of crime.
But it doesn't. You know, again,
more crime, more money.
There's a really easy argument that's like, did you commit the crime? Were you supposed to be in here at 10 o'clock? Did you show up at 10:01? Well, then you did. You know what I mean? It's the fact that we didn't build in leniency in all given situations. That we have built-in leniency in some ways. Some people might call it white supremacy culture. Mm-hmm. But there's a built-in leniency for some people, not for others. And we like the leniency because it's like tolerance. It's what's different between us and China is that we do have leniency. We just don't have it for everyone, you know?
Yeah. No, that's a really great point. And that's exactly what the whole policing argument I just was making was. Yeah.
So to me, we tax every company just normal. You don't need to incentivize people with tax breaks. It's just silly. Just like if it's not a profitable business and it can't afford to run because of its tax system, then they just got to do something else. Like that's what we all have to do in this world. We don't need to hold businesses together that can't make it. That's just silly. They can buy insurance for that. You know what I mean? Like companies that don't know if they're going to make it or not, they can have like little 3-year, 5-year deals. Like, you know, like say the cherry orchard industry, right? They can create some kind of like safety net that they all pay into together, like a union, and that says that, you know, they know that every 5th year or so they make it big, right? So let's just build it in like 6 years to just cover our ass and then we'll just go ahead and spread that money out over 6 years, as opposed to like doing these big windfall profits and then tearing up your orchard and all this weird shit. Right? They don't want that. They want subsidies every year, and then they want the big windfall years where they can buy the boat.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like I think it's the cake and eat it too, and most people know they're doing it. Unfortunately, they're also like a lot of times in church talking about other people that don't do that. You know what I mean? And like it's like actually really obvious. It's actually really overt and so anyways. So either way, though, so you can look at it 2 ways. One is they're wrong, and that's fun. The other one is if they're right and there's actually a God, they're wrong to their God too, and so they got to suffer that too. Which is kind of cool.
It's a very awkward lifestyle being conservative. Seriously, it's frustrating to be a conservative because you constantly rationalizing yourself.
Well,
you know what I mean? That's like what you just explained. You're like, wait a minute, this contradicts everything I believe in. No, there's some other explanation. You're always rationalizing, like always justifying it.
That's why we talk about cheeseburgers, because see, I know what I'm gonna do today. We're gonna hang this up here.
Yeah, we gotta hang this up.
Hold on. We're gonna hang this up. We got 12 minutes to get to 2 hours. We should do 2 hours. That's pretty sick.
Well, I gotta take a leak then. I won't make it 12 more minutes, dude.
Okay, then we don't have to do 2 hours.
No, it's cool. I'll come back and play a song.
Okay. About homeless truckers. You need a pee bottle for these streams.
Amazon style.
And we gotta actually, so right underneath us here is a pipe, okay, that goes outside, and it's a pee pipe? It goes into the other room in there, and it's under the stage in that room right over there. It's a drain. And we could actually use it someday for like a sink or something. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think we dug into some pretty crazy points today. This has been a long one. Did you guys see they're really trying to do away with the filibuster? I mean, the thing is, I I don't know anyone that would be a fan of something like the filibuster, and I believe that they're using things like that as like legal space to work within. So when you eliminate something with legal space, I believe you're just gonna put a group of lawyers back to work to find other legal space. And I like that about our system. It's unfortunate that it's inefficient, but it's also kind of like comes with the territory of freedom, is that you're allowing people to continually think about how to make their dealings with other people advantageous for them. And so I don't know that you can necessarily legislate that out of a free society. I think when people become the person who says what is and isn't okay, just on a specific level, we get into some dangerous territory. Even if you happen to be right in that moment, chances are you're going to be wrong in the future. So what you want is you want to have a system that's reliant on the original documentation, as well as reliant on common agreements of different court cases or different societal norms to also dictate like the view of what you think those laws mean. And so, I mean, I think, yes, I'm for the elimination. I was reading off of where it says about the filibuster. Mm-hmm. And I was saying, basically, I agree that that's a really ridiculous idea. But I also think that in our culture, we create space for people to, for lawyers to navigate around rules. So by making a new law that says you can't do X, Y, Z, probably just puts a group of people to work to try to find another loophole.
Right. Because it's also just, this is all part of another system, and that system is it's for another podcast for sure. Oh, but yeah. the conservatives, American conservatism, is not as popular as they want people to think it is. And all you have to do is look at the voter registration roll to get everything you need to know. They're outnumbered by 40 million voters.
Right.
The point is, the filibuster is another part of minority rule. You're living in a country where the popular president lost. You can rationalize that all you want, but at the end of the day, we cannot disagree that it's anything other than minority rule, meaning we all gathered a consensus and voted, and the person who lost is the person in charge. Right. So that's what the filibuster is, a 2/3 majority. Why? Because when you have a bipartisan Senate, and you know what I mean? Like, well, and that kind of goes against the whole point. We all voted to get in here, right? We did our part, right? We all like ran and got here. And now you're like, you know what? We need to make, now that it's working for you, and we don't like that. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, God, this whole like majority rule thing sucks. Well, and that's what conservatives are fighting against. They've had that. Because they're the fucking minority.
There's been times where, I mean, here's the thing.
They're the fucking minority.
Here's the thing.
That's why all cities are progressive.
But here's the thing. Let's say
progressive means move forward.
Well, here's the thing. If somebody has a bad idea, it gets voted into law. It doesn't work. Right now, the present system has no real recourse to solve that. There's no amending these situations, really. Because imagine not only being able to fuck with something, that imagine trying to amend something right now with this system. Imagine trying to just slightly change something for a little bit of the better. Not completely dismantle an idea. Not attach a bunch of things to a bill. Not try to sneak stuff in. Just literally look at something and say, hey, we used to think you should be able to dispose of 55 gallons of oil in this one particular place. Maybe it should just be 50. And they go, okay, yeah, let's seem simple. We're just going to change it by 5. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like, and then they just get together and just like, agree to change it by 5, like real quick. Let's get some shit done. Hey, those motherfuckers can't do. And the fact that it's not set up like to get things done is
you're relating
problem.
that to like how the stimulus
really
was negotiated and shit.
Not giving people equal time, not equal idea, not majority, minority, nothing like that. In reality, what it is it's that it's actually the way they're doing it right now is the fastest way you could have done it when there were horses only. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that most businesses, again, back to UBI, they have systems. Almost every business that you'll ever walk into is fucking massively behind technologically, except a food cart. The food carts are on top of the new modern way to interact. And then usually you walk up and you go beep, 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 you get a burrito. You know what I mean? Like, and like the transactions are perfect. Everything's perfect. And, you know, they got it figured out. You go into like pay car insurance, or there's even credit card companies. They want like routing. They want checks only. You go to like pay my child support, for instance, with the Oregon Department of whatever, right? They go through a pay. They don't even have their own pay service. Like they don't even they buy a service that you pay $10 to use for the fucking government. I mean, it's just obnoxious. Mm-hmm. They're always behind, and that inefficiency is to keep jobs. Just to keep jobs
and to hold on to those old systems like we talked about. Old systems that are locked in place, and like, if we pull the plug, it's going to be chaos for a minute.
That's conservatism without voting. That's the actual designated preset setting of our country. It's conservative. It's set at conservative naturally. You see what I mean? Like, and so whatever you vote for, it just doesn't even really matter. When you go into a place and you say, can I do this? Whatever it is, the person at the other end you're expecting them to not know what to do. Like, name a place. They don't really know how to run the cash register. You're not expecting them to know what the food tastes like. People don't know what to do. Technology is faster than they are. The products are smarter. The owners that know whatever the business is, they infinitely know it more than they could ever train or pay someone to know about it. Mm-hmm. They don't need the people.
Right.
Like, they just don't. They're in the way. You know what I mean? Like, they need someone to, like, lock the building. Like, you can almost walk into Subway and make your own sandwich. You know, there's a camera, and it could just weigh them. Like, you don't need anyone there. Like, you know, it's just, it's either we jump ahead of it and just recognize that that's just all the way it's going, or we have it's going to suffer. People are going to suffer.
You can't though, because like that hypothetical town I was telling you about with the paper mill, they're locked into this tax bracket now. It's been 70 years.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right?
Like,
so
those schools shouldn't rely on that. Now,
everyone with that, you could see that hypothetical obviously is the entire fucking country.
Well, not the
and
ones
all of the systems
I don't think Colorado, Oregon, Washington, and they're reliant on like marijuana, cigarette taxes now for their school districts, lottery, things like that, and those are sustainable.
Right. What I meant was like when you're trying to, like you said, jump ahead, make some change. That's what's in your way. Right. That's why we're not flying the fucking aluminum Falcon right now, and we're still driving combustible fucking engines around town. Well, because someone out there's like, nah, dude, if you move ahead, I lose money.
Well,
that's what it's all about, though.
But something's happening.
So, like I told you about that washboard analogy, Roman. Same thing. Imagine that, like it's this like coalition of companies that make washboards, and they're going after the person who invented the washing machine. Like, you're making society better, but you're taking away our jobs.
Well, I used to say that.
So it gets prioritized, and then you get stuck in the fucking past. And you're living in. That's why the system that your child support situation, same thing. They're working with a system from 1972 because they're trying to hang on to one guy's fucking job.
Well, and they don't have a budget either to hire a person to take payments for credit cards now, because again, they actually, if you talk to the people involved, they say, you know, like, we don't know how to do that. That's not part of their training. Like, there's an entire section of internet interactions, social media and how to use your cell phone and how to not be jacking off on your Zoom calls, and that nobody was trained for, that everybody figured out without any training, and started. Then business went on
because
and,
people figure shit out. People
it.
Figure shit out. Systems don't.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. None of it needed to be there. Nobody needed the trainers. Like they don't. There's so many people doing shit nobody needs them to do, and most people know this isn't even fucking new. I saw a podcast. I heard a podcast fucking forever ago. Malcolm Gladwell, years and years and years. I mean, these are really old ideas. This is like. But the thing is, it ends up being like, how do you pay for it? Blah, blah, blah. How does this blah, blah, inhibit socialism? Blah, blah, blah. Communism, blah, blah, blah. Look, like those mill towns are fine. Those people need to be fucking at home, taking care of their kids, teach them how to read and shit. Like they don't need to be working overtime.
Right.
Like there's nothing good about those mill towns being supported by those mills. Those people need to be at home, dude, doing shit. They need to be making less money because nobody deserves, with a non-educated job, to be buying 3, 4, 5 houses. Nobody ever should have opened that. Where did that come from?
That's our world.
No, I know. Yeah. No, I know. But I'm saying, whoever said
idiocracy, man.
Whoever said people deserve that, just because they had a job.
Well, no, because that actually, bro, that's another, like I said, that's another conversation podcast, because that's about, like I said, like what the value of something is. Who establishes that value?
Well, that's part of that system.
It's part of that system
concept where it's not. People don't. They're like, well, it's not my fault because I just kind of came into it.
Well, no, but that system could be, if you had 2 dudes doing construction, one guy has more money than the other. This guy can afford to pay people more. He's going to get a better product.
Well, or maybe just more work, because there's also the effect of like looking like you have more stuff, even like
I meant like the football analogy. Keep coming back to that, like why football players make so much. Like that system is full of gabillionaires, so that's how they look at it. They're like, hey, I want this, I'll pay for it.
Right.
Like I want my team to win so
Which
bad.
Cool.
I'll pay. That's where it started, though. I'll pay my quarterback $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $10 million, $20 million, $100 million. Like where does it end?
So
it ends where who's got the most money to pay for it.
So I am 100% for 100% full blown capitalism with talent. Whether it's custom home building, whether it's fucking making a badass dildo or somebody catching a pass, and I am for 100%.
The Shack Edition, pitch black silicone, double-headed gas powered.
Whatever you want for products that you want, right? But not
2-stroke
farm workers, not Walmart, not shit that people don't need to do. That is not part of the same system. That is not under the capitalist influence. That's a different type of job. The most jobs are not fun. And that's not why people do them. They're not slaves. They have a choice to go from one shitty job to the other shitty job, and neither one of them pay enough. That's not directly slavery, but it's not possible for a dumb person's job to make a living now anymore. There used to be just the dumbest motherfuckers alive could do the dumbest job alive and still own a home. Right. It's just not anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going to come back. So now what you've got to do is give those people enough money to rent a shitty apartment that they don't have to pay for it. They can go to whatever apartment they want, but they just get a check that gives them enough money that they can pay for an apartment. Okay, now if you own the apartment, now your rent's paid. Okay, so you're good. So you shouldn't give a fuck, right? Because it doesn't really matter to you. You're getting the same thing. In fact, you get paid more often. Okay? So now this motherfucker's going to be here. Now he's got all day long. He doesn't have to do a motherfucking thing. His rent's paid, but he still isn't shit. Right? He's not going to get laid. He ain't shit. He's just sitting there at his house. That incentive for that person now to become trained in the thing that they are interested in without the pressure of just fucking where am I going to live, more likely that person's going to become contributing in whatever the fuck that is. I don't give a shit if it's Dungeons and Dragons fucking groups. I don't care if it's just picking up litter. And you want to incentivize people, just say, hey man, go get me 40 pounds of litter and I'll give you $100 incentive, just like a fucking station somewhere. I don't give a fuck where you get the garbage. Just bring me a fucking 50 pounds of fucking garbage for $50, and you can
that guy's gonna blow a tire.
You can incentivize people to go do more. So now they got their apartment, they got their car, everything's fine, they're good to go. But now you go fucking somewhere and help. Now you know what I mean? Like incentivize people doing good shit for the world. That's undeniable. Not
It's not profitable.
Do you mean going to talk to people about Jesus? No, I mean go pick up some trash.
It's not profitable.
Go pick up some fucking trash.
That's what I'm saying. It's not fucking profitable.
No,
that's the same thing. Like that just comes back to the beginning of this conversation, like with cops, man.
It's
cops
profitable. It is because watch why picking up trash pile, because people want to come visit. They spend more money. They're happier.
Sure.
And so if there's less trash, there's more people.
I know. I guess I was trying to say is
better.
like how to convince a capitalist that this is profitable.
I think that honestly, I think it used to be the other way around. I think it was more profitable to chuck your litter out the window. At one point, it used to be. I just don't think it's now. That's all. I think there's actually more money in tourism. You know what I mean?
I got to get some lunch, man.
What are you gonna eat?
Fried chicken.
Oh, we made it past 2 hours. You gonna eat fried chicken from where?
I don't know.
Fried chicken.
I'm not having fried chicken. I can't.
Fried chicken.
I'm super hungry.
Chicken.
All right, over and out.
All right, dude.
Jesus Christ.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, it's fun, but I'm like frustrated.
Let's pretend like we don't know it's over.
Yeah, I'm like frustrated the whole time because I just know my audio sucks.
I don't think it sucked. I think it was a little quiet, maybe.
That's what I mean. Like if it's quiet.
No, both of us. But that was before when we were like didn't know what we were doing.
No, I already listened to it again, like what we were just doing. Like it frustrates me because I just want it to sound good, and when I'm talking knowing it's not even listenable. Cutting in and out and shit.
All right. Well, go Ducks, go Blazers.